Hi there, welcome back to Before Dieting. I'm your host, Bronwyn Fletcher. In today's episode, I want to talk about weight goals. Now, I know the topic can sound a bit dry, but I want you to keep listening because your weight goal, whether it be stated specifically or expressed generally, shapes absolutely everything you do in weight loss. It influences the diet choices you make, the way you judge yourself, and even how you see progress. From my conversations with women, I can tell you this: there are as many ways of setting a weight goal as there are women. And added to that, many women never set one at all. But no matter how you've chosen the goal, whether you've chosen one or not, the measure of success almost always comes back to a single number on the bathroom scale. Here's the point I want you to take from this episode. And that is, relying on a single metric for body weight creates problems. A single number is too narrow, it's too punishing, and it's often misleading. What's needed is a broader set of measures, a range that lets you see progress in more than one form. For example, let's say you have a goal to lose 7 kilos. It's a clear, precise target. But what if you only lose 3 kilos when your goal was 7? Do you celebrate losing the 3 kilos, or do you feel like you failed because you didn't reach the 7? That's the trap of a single number. Instead of measuring progress, it judges whether you've passed or failed. And particularly for women in perimenopause, fluid retention alone can shift the scale and give a false reading. So when one number decides whether you're winning or losing, that's a pretty fragile system to live in. Many women have caught on to the SMART goal framework as another application, and that is in their weight loss. And it sounds like a good way to go. But when we apply SMART goals to the problem of recurring weight, they backfire. And what happens is lost weight is regained and usually adding more on top. And the reason for this is SMART goals assume a straight line between action and result. They don't take into account how your metabolism slows when you diet or how food restrictions drive you to relief eating. And more than that, they're based on willpower. And we know that willpower is in very short supply when you have to look at it over a longer term. So when they've got words like achievable and realistic, it just says if you can stick with it. And we know that sticking with the diet is one of the most difficult things to do, particularly when your weight's recycling. We also know that systems can't be overridden with willpower. They may be able to have some short-term effect, but over the longer term, again, it's not a way to actually be able to get things to change. And that's because systems are following their own rules. So before we jump to what can we do instead, there's one more part of weight goals that we need to look at. And that is, where do our ideas for weight goals actually come from? Sometimes they're imposed from outside, and not in a good way. Like when Denise was 15 and her mother offered her $200 if she lost 10 kilos. Or Jennifer's situation when she was 10 years into her marriage and her husband threatened to leave her unless she lost weight. These goals aren't neutral, they're loaded. They tie weight to love, approval, and even survival. And when women are bribed, blackmailed, or shamed into losing weight, it never ends well. Trust me on this. External goals can also slip in via social media or role models, and we often don't ask whether they are even right for us. Yet, there are other times when we set a goal that we determine, but it's an indirect goal. We pick a weight goal because we think it will deliver something else. It's common for women to say if they lost weight, they would have more confidence. If a woman wants to lose weight to become more confident, there is a need for a deeper examination here. If the real outcome is confidence, then finding ways to build confidence needs to be the focus, not losing weight to get there. So you can probably see it's worthwhile asking yourself the question, what's the real purpose of my weight goal? And another one is, what is the true end point of my weight loss efforts? So if the bathroom scale isn't telling the full story, what does? Let's talk about the kinds of progress that can be more meaningful to you. Progress may be a physical measure like your knees don't ache anymore, or you've got the energy to kick a ball around with your kids. Or maybe it's more of a mental freedom where food isn't on your mind all the time and you realise that you've gone a longer period without eating for relief. When you build measures like these into your weight goals, you might realise you're making much more progress than you thought. So when you're thinking about setting a weight goal or starting another diet, here's what I'd like you to do. First of all, take the time to get clear on what your real intention is with losing weight. Ask yourself, is it about your health? Is it about how you want to look to others? Do you want to move with more ease, or is it about having more energy? Because it's almost never just a number on the scale. When you strip it back to the bones of what you really want with weight loss, you can start choosing actions that actually match those outcomes, and not all of them involve dieting or even food. But here's the truth, the bathroom scale can only ever give you one piece of feedback, and it's often the least useful piece. When you broaden the range of goals and their success measures, you finally get to see what's really changing. I'd love to hear how you set your weight goals and the measures that go with them. Send me a DM on LinkedIn and let me know what you're using. It'd be great to know. The Before Dieting podcast is part of the Waiting for Happiness project. If you're ready to uncover the root cause of your recycling weight, head over to waitingforhappiness.com.au to see how we can help. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk with you next week.